All right, so just before the break, we're talking about how some Jamaican children are speaking with an affectation, I'm going to say, a foreign accent. Now we're asking senior lecturer in the Department of Language, Linguistics and Philosophy at the UWI Mona, Dr. Joseph Farquharson. Are we losing our voice? What's going on? Good morning, Doc. Good to have you with us.
Fred. What?
How should I say? It's good to see you, Maine.
What up?
That's what Oliver would say. Well, you know what? Oliver was twanging long before these kids, because you travel very regular.
That's where I wanted to start.
Let's start.
It's not new. It's not new. Jamaican people have been twanging for a long time. Miss Lou had a poem about, Nolika twang.
Yes.
Especially when people travel, they go abroad and they come back. They come back not just with, the Irish Spring and the other stuff, but they come back with an accent too. So it has been happening for a while. I think, probably what's the big thing is that it's more visible now. So a lot more people get to see it because the videos are there, etc. In linguistics, especially linguists working on Africa have been looking for a while at something they call locally acquired foreign accent. And I'll tell you that in the Jamaican way. People who get the visa figure foreign and then get the visa, the accent start. That's locally acquired foreign accent. So it's not unique to Jamaica, but it tends to be common in formerly colonized countries, especially where there is an insecurity, a linguistic insecurity, and people shift because, of course, that shifting, they think they get access to power, to opportunities, and so on.
But why? Can I ask you, why is it usually the North American accent and not the European? Why not British? Is it because we have more exposure to the US?
All right, you're showing how young you are. Because now it's the US accent.
Yes.
But 50 years ago, it was British accent. So it just shows you that the center is shifting.
Yes.
Yeah, so whereas before, Britain was the main point and people would be imitating a British accent. Today, because of the power, the visibility of the United States of America, and plus, US media is more common.
Dr. Joe, is it also, I coach a lot of youngsters and they get scholarships. And then 2 weeks after them go up and call and say, hey, coach, you all right? So I say, hey, coach. And recently one of them, I said, brother, why are you talking like that? And he says, coach, he wants them to understand him. Does that have anything to do with it, or just bossy?
It does. So sometimes you're in a new environment and every 2 words you say, people say, what? Excuse me?
Yeah.
Say that again? Which means that in order to avoid all of that, you adopt. So it's not always insecurity. Sometimes it's just to be able to fit in. I'll tell you too that we are like sponges in some regard. So when you're in a new environment, something will rub off. I lived and worked in Trinidad for 3 years. I never wanted my accent to shift, but some shifting took place.
It seeped in.
So sometimes it will happen without you even realizing that it's happening.
Our social media talk back was specific to kids, to the youngsters, and almost everyone said it's because they're watching YouTube and they're watching TikTok and stuff like that.
So for the first time, social media is right.
Wow, Doc.
But that is really so.
Wow.
Because I said, and I mean, my producer also said I was a bigger boy when I went. But I don't know if I didn't want to, because I just found out if you speak standard English, they will understand. And I said to Simone, if an American...
Especially our accent, because our accent is less cadenced than most.
If an American comes here...
No, that's because it's your accent.
No, man. Jamaican accent
that's
and
because,
accent
no,
are the less...
No,
you have all of the accents.
I have done presentations abroad, and when I'm finished, people come up to me and say, oh, it sounded like reggae. I wasn't singing.
Yeah.
I was... because it's your...
The Trinis have the... Hills and Bahamians, the Bajans.
This is because you are listening to somebody else. So let's deal with an accent. An accent is really the combined auditory effect of how people pronounce things, and that helps you to distinguish, where they are from. And when I say combined effect, we're talking about, what vowels they use, what consonants they use, how they pronounce those consonants and vowels, the rhythm of their speech, where they place the stress. And I'll give you some examples. A T is not always a T, meaning a T is not always T. So sometimes when we speak, the T surfaces as something else. So for some people, it surfaces as what linguists call a flap. So that's what the Americans give us in water. Water.
Sounds like a D.
Sounds
Liquid.
like sounds
Yes.
kind of like a D. So water. And then for some people, it is another sound. So you get water. Yeah.
And for the French, if it's
so it depends on the environment. Also, where you place the stress. So the word Clarendon. Not Caribbean, but Clarendon, and I'm choosing Clarendon because some people say Clarendon, that is me, some people say Clarendon, and some people say Clarendon. All of those combined will now influence what your accent is, and people can tell where you're from.
Simone made a point about her family, that her daughter did kind of sound foreign, but later on, she never sound foreign. So should we be encouraging them to just speak Jamaican as a youth, or should we just make them evolve naturally, which is, I think, what happened with Aaron, right?
I'm not sure. Yeah, but it's not just about speaking Jamaica, because then we're dealing with different languages.
Right.
We're dealing with different languages. We're dealing with English, and I think people are... a part of the concern is about how they sound when they're talking English, that they don't sound as if they're talking Jamaican English.
American English.
They sound like they're talking American English. I'm not sure you can encourage... as social media said, it's based on what people are exposed to, so what the children are exposed to. The sad reality is that they are more exposed to American content, so, and especially during the pandemic, when people were locked in and parents needed to find ways of occupying their children's time, they gave them the tablets and the phones.
Yeah.
Now, once you hit YouTube, the majority of content on YouTube is US-based. So we have to start a conversation. So I don't think the encouragement will work. Because even if you encourage them, where is the Jamaican content?
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's also interesting because we work at the BPO and we speak with foreigners. So I had this parent, and when she don't talk, I saw the kid, I'm coaching him. And I said, your mom is an American? And he said, no, coach, I just saw she twing it because she works at a BPO.
Yeah.
So, and that could be because, as you said, you don't want the other person on the phone saying, what?
Yeah.
So,
But if you think about it, even sometimes when we listen to radio these days, I can tell the announcers who've had entertainment coordinator experience, who worked in hotel, because their accents are different.
Well, I'll tell you, I was in London trying to get to, I think, Stratford or someplace. And I jumped into a taxi with being driven by a man who was not English. And I'm trying to tell him, Stratford, no comprehension at all. He ended up understanding by me spelling the name of the place with a London accent.
S-T-R.
Because that's what he's used to hearing.
Yeah.
Yes.
O-D.
Yeah.
So how would it have been pronounced for Stratford?
Well, some people say Stratford, Stratford. So there are different accents in London itself.
Simone started the interview by asking if our Jamaican,
if we're losing our
linguistic identity being lost.
Lost.
Yes or no?
Identities change. Yeah? Identities change. And so even if we didn't have the US influence, things would be moving, because that's how language works.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't seem to have an issue with it.
No. I'm trying to be as impartial as possible.
I know.
Neutral.
No, but if you...
Yes, I do have an issue with it. This is because the Jamaican accent, and here we're talking about Jamaican English, is one of the things that makes us stand out. People want to hear us. People like hearing us. Now, if we lose that, we lose our attraction. We become like so many other places. And definitely, we become like the US, Who wants that?
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying earlier, because the people who come from foreign don't lose them accent when they come to Jamaica.
When they come here.
But they try to speak like
yes, Simone talk about Trini. Trini will be here for 20 years, and they come on the set, and I can tell you are from Trinidad.
Let me give you in the food sense. You know, when a lot of visitors come here, they want to experience something Jamaican.
Authentic.
You know, so when they're in a hotel and they get bagel, you know, for breakfast and cream cheese,
Continental.
No.
They don't want that. They want some
Them
kalaloo.
come here
And hockey.
to get some of the culture.
Dr. Joe, Sim also said that we give them a hard time if them don't sound like we. And then some people give them a hard time because them sound like we. I mean, my mother never want to hear no Patois. So I come in and say, boy, it's 3 away, and Mama just go look at that.
Yes.
What?
Yes. But remember I'm saying you have to separate the stuff. So there is the Jamaican language. And that's a separate, because the Jamaican language itself has different accents.
It's not homogenous.
Even within Kingston.
Yeah, man.
So there are people in Kingston who don't sound alike. There are accents associated with high school. So sometimes I can tell somebody who went to George's versus somebody who went to Arden or Woolmer's. You know, so even within the same city, you have different accents, and we're still with English.
Some people have children.
Children, yeah.
Some people have ideas, others
Thanks for
have
coming.
ideas.
Very well
No
explained.
problem.
Very well explained. Senior lecturer in the Department of Language, Linguistics and Philosophy, Dr. Joseph Farquharson. Gonna go for a break. Soon come.